MBE Development Council, and I'm really excited about hosting the discussion on the Infrastructure Bill, Job Act, and give you guys some ideas, some of those opportunities that are going to be offered in our transportation sector. So I want to thank the City of Philadelphia for partnering with us on this event, lending us this beautiful space, and be able to bring in the Philadelphia Airport. And I also want to make sure that you guys are aware of EMSDC. If anyone is in the room that's not currently certified, I'll be happy to talk to you on the side about some of the benefits of partnering with us. If you're a corporate partner, just like I was telling to Lily, we are excited to support you guys in whatever programs, supply diversity programs that you currently have, any initiatives that you're putting forth to help develop and scale our diverse businesses in this region. Just to mention with EMSDC, our service area is entire Pennsylvania, Delaware, Southern Jersey. So if you're interested in any opportunities that may be somewhere else in the region, I'll be happy to also talk to you about how you can take advantage of some of those relationships that we have throughout the region and beyond. So also, I want to let you know that our president, Brian Oglesby, he's here in the building, and he did have a conflict. He'll be coming in to talk with you guys and also close out the program. So look forward to engaging you guys with our president, Brian Oglesby. He is background in consultant, business consultant. So don't feel free to bombard him with a lot of questions about the benefits of your business as well. So first of all, I want to thank City of Philadelphia again and our panel moderator, Melanie Shaw from Maven Incorporated. We're really excited to have her moderate this discussion. Melanie will be able to tell you a little bit more about what you do, but she actually does government relation consultant on behalf of the EMSDC. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware of that relationship and you take advantage of this wonderful lady and all the years of expertise she has working in this network. So I'm going to let Melanie take over. I'll be back and it's like a student taking some notes, making sure I have some questions also for the panel to follow up. If you guys have any questions, we will have a Q&A at the end. We want to say hi to all of our attendees that are joining us virtually. Just to take you guys back to our initial conversation, we have a recording on emsdc.org, and I'll make sure we send that with the follow-up information so you guys can see our first conversation that we had in November. Our MBIC was able to moderate that conversation, Mr. Paul Douglas. I definitely want you guys to take advantage of connecting with him if you like to learn more about leveraging your certification. We were able to invite the utility sectors. We had American Water, a few other folks that are in that space. So if you're looking for opportunities in the utility sector, please look at their recording. And we also plan to take this conversation throughout the region so that we can bring attention to some other funding and opportunities that are taking place on other sides of the region. So with that being said, I'm going to invite Melanie to come up. We're going to get this started and we're going to get you guys on through Med Week. Well, sorry, I can't do this without mentioning Med Week. Sorry. So Med Week, really important that you guys look at the Med Week calendar and take advantage of some of the amazing programming that some of our resource partners has put together for the first week of October. EMSDC will be at the kickoff breakfast on October the 2nd. We're extremely excited about inviting new MBEs to learn about our services and engaging with our corporate members. Also want you guys to take advantage of the certification panel that Program actually will be joining EMSDC with Template DDC and a few other agencies to talk about the certifications and all the different certifications that are out there and the opportunities that come along with those different designations. You also may want to tap in and check us out. We'll be at Harris October the 5th. We have a partnership with Caesar Foundation. You want to learn how to do business with Caesar Entertainment or the foundation, definitely stop in. I'm looking forward to that event as well. And we also have a communication that I will text to a follow-up that talks about a few other Med Week events. I could go on about Med Week all day, so I'm going to let you guys look into that on the Med Week calendar, and I'll turn it over to Mel. Thank you, guys.
I'm going to stand to the side, and I'm going to do this because we have to steps to say, I did not do it very delicately earlier, so.
Practice did not go so well.
So, good morning and thank you for being here. I like to always say for entrepreneurs, usually stopping for workshops or programs like this in the middle of your work day is not something that you take the time to do because you're running your business. So we do not take it for granted that you are actually here to hear what phenomenal panelists have to say. And we want you to know that we really do value the time that you're putting into this. My name is Melanie Shaw, as she said earlier. Maven Inc. was formed in 2004. And because I've had a chance to talk to a couple of you, I'll tell you a little bit of my story. I did not grow up wanting to be a lobbyist. I did not believe that government relations was any place that I wanted to be. I thought it was all full of you know what, and it wasn't anything that there was no way for me to make money out of it and or to grow a business. And so sometimes we come to the business that we are in because that was our dream and our vision. And sometimes life just puts you in a place where you have to sink or swim one way or another. I had a great 10-year relationship with another minority owned and operated firm. We parted ways, and then it was, what am I going to do? And one of the first things that I did was get certified. I got certified within 3 months of forming the business. Now, I was able to do that because I had all my bylaws, I had all my paperwork, I had a bank account, I had all those things, but the 10 years that I spent with the other company prepared me for what it was I was going to need. We have a small group here in the room, and I hope that you all take the advantage of doing what you were doing earlier, and that is continue to talk to each other. It is through talking to folks and me really just bugging people to death about where do I go for this, how do I get that, and why do I really have to have that, and I haven't been in business but for 6 months, so how am I going to have 3 years of financials that go back and all of those things? And it was through conversation and working with EMSDC to that I was able to make that. And that is, I don't believe that's just my story. I believe that that is the story of many. And so each of our panelists today have a perspective of where they come from in terms of the work that they do and how they can help you to either increase your capacity, grow your business, or even just make sure you have it started correctly. A good foundation is the way that you want to be. Get your stuff together is what I would say to you. So I will introduce our panelists. What I do in the space on the government relations side is I lobby legislators. And I lobby legislators sometimes have policy issues for clients, and other times I lobby legislators because there is some initiative like this initiative that by working with EMSDC, African American Chamber, that I want to be able to break it down in small enough chunks for folks to understand that there's a place in it for everybody. It's just being able to work yourself through the landmine. So I'm going to introduce the panelists. I'm going to ask the panelists to really focus on how their agency or organization can help with businesses in two spaces. One, if you really are just getting started and you don't really know where you want to start. And then two, if you've been around for a minute and you seem to be just kind of stuck in a space, what about the infrastructure bill would allow you to get to a place where you can increase your capacity? Those are the two things that I will ask them. Leave as much time as possible for questions and for interactions, because we learn a lot from each other. And being able to do it in a more intimate way oftentimes is the most helpful. So we have Ms. Lily Reynolds, who is Director of Federal Infrastructure Strategy, City of Philadelphia. She is, right here, right here on my immediate right. And then we have Denise Bailey, now that's who I got confused. Denise Bailey, who is from the Philadelphia International Airport, Deputy Director of Aviation Business Diversity and Accessibility. And let me just say, the word on the street was You guys had a phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal program yesterday, and was yesterday or the day before. And it was packed, is my understanding as well, and people came away feeling like they learned something, so congratulations.
And thank you for that feedback, because when you're in the middle of it, you really don't know. You can sense it, you know, that
Right.
nothing went wrong, but it's hard to, you know, look on the other side and see what the actual guests are doing.
That's right,
Thank
and they feel like they came away with something, and
That's right.
their time was valued.
Then it was all worth it.
And then we have Mr. Jesse Wilson II. He is from Amtrak, manager of supplier diversity. And then we have Karan Robinson, Pro Rank Managing Partner, DBE, SSC Program Manager. Now, I want you all to know, I very specifically went to them and said, please break down some of these acronyms for folks. Because we all hear a lot of them. You go to the federal sites and you see, you know, 25 different acronyms in different departments. You go to the state site, same thing. And so if we can break that down for you and give you a sense of where you want to start. Because that is all it will be, ladies and gentlemen, a start. There's so much opportunity around the infrastructure. And it's not, you know, it's roads and highways, but there's water and it's gas. In Philadelphia, we have some of our water pipes that are still made of wood. Can you imagine? That's how old. That's how old that's how old the infrastructure as relates to water is in the city of Philadelphia. And so infrastructure has far more reaching implications than a lot of folks truly understand. It's not brand new phone.
Oh, it's a baby.
The most important part, because handling material things drive me crazy. Lost my thought. The only other thing I did not share with you about Maven, and that is a very big part of the business that we do is with contractors and developers. And we have the responsibility by identifying as many diverse contractors as possible to keep the pool of network that these developers and contractors have access to. So you don't have the same old names and the same old companies. Everybody's getting as many opportunities as possible. So we do a lot of work in that space. Right now, we're working with Wexford Scientific in University City. We're working with Hilco and out by the airport. So folks that do that kind of work are also looking for other firms to do work with. So I think that that's enough about Melanie's and my panel. If we'll start with you. Sure. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Like Melanie said, thank you for taking time out of your day and your business week to connect with us. And we're happy to host you here and what I'm gonna rebrand as a penthouse. Information center, but let's rebrand it as a penthouse. Service building. So I work here at the city. I work in our Office of Transportation, Infrastructure, and Sustainability. And my team is part of leading the city's strategy around this massive federal investment called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or Investment in Infrastructure and Jobs Act. So there is a huge amount of federal money that is just literally like being granted to the city right now and to other areas around the country for infrastructure. I want to break down a little bit of what those numbers are and what type of infrastructure we need. But this is a historic moment. And in addition to those two bills, or those two, in addition to the BIL, which also goes by IIJA, there's also the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a big investment in climate change and resiliency. And then there's also the CHIPS Act. So all three of these are major federal investments in physical things that we are needing for our communities. So the BIL itself is $1.2 trillion invested across the country. And the city, we at the city being all of our city agencies, We anticipate over the next 5 years, about $1 billion coming to the city for infrastructure. So, the things that we own, are the infrastructure pieces that we own that we'll be using this investment to upgrade and renovate are mainly roads, bridges, the bus aspects of SEPTA. So SEPTA is separate from the city, but we manage all of the bus furniture and shelters, sidewalks, and then the water department, all of the water infrastructure, electric vehicle charging, broadband infrastructure, and then everything that the airport does, which is Denise will talk about, but that is also part of the city. And there's more, but those are kind of the big categories. So when we think about all of those infrastructure pieces, when we get the money from grants, we go through planning phases, engineering and design, and that often means we work a lot with professional services companies who help us with engineering and design, or community engagement. But then we get to the point of building it. And when we get to building it, those become public works contracts, and we need help with construction. So we really want to see the diversity of our vendors increase. Overall, as a city, we have a goal of about 35% of our investments in contracting going to diverse vendors, so minority, women, disabled-owned businesses. In public works, in the construction space, maybe it's not a surprise to you, in construction, we see those numbers drop, right? So overall, we go to about 20% at most, sometimes it's closer to 15 or even 10%. So we can do better than this, we have to do better than this. That does not look like Philadelphia. And we know that there are people and businesses who have talent and value that we want to be contracting with. So that's why I'm here to talk to you all and help you connect with this information in the best way I can. I'll just highlight a couple other things about the types of contractors that we'll be looking for. So in prime contractors, we're really going to see the most growth from this investment in highway, street, and bridge construction. I forgot to mention bridges earlier, but that's a big piece as well as bridge construction. Commercial, institutional, and building construction, electrical contractors and other wiring installation contractors, water, sewer line, and related structures construction, and then finally plumbing, heating, and air conditioning contractors. But I think that the biggest, what we're seeing right now, at least in the sort of next year or 2 years, is the biggest growth is in the heavy highway space and in the water department, the sewer line construction space. But those are the prime contractor categories in public works. And like I said, there's a whole engineering design in the professional services leading up to that point. And then there's also a lot of subcontractors that work for those prime contractors. So I'll just list the type of subcontractors that we anticipate in these spaces. Specialties like poured concrete, precast concrete, framing, masonry, glass and glazing, foundation and structures. Then also services like transportation and trucking of all of these things to get to construction sites, warehousing, landscaping, architectural engineering, surveying, mapping, administrative management, solid waste collection, remediation, and then even manufacturing, right? So how are we buying the goods of concrete, cement, brick, stone, and asphalt? So that kind of gives you a flavor of some of the things when we say infrastructure from a city perspective, we usually mean like big infrastructure projects. But my advice that I'll say before I pass it on to the rest of the panel is that I think you should also know about what is true for you as a business and what you specialize in, because even if you don't, the things I've mentioned don't have a light bulb for your specialty, the city is big enough that there is some contract out there for you. Whether it's a rebuild contract, whether it's Department of Public Properties, this building that we're in is getting renovated. There is work there. And so I think my advice is to really figure out what it is that you specialize in and think about which part of the city is buying those services and get yourself in order, create a foundation so that you really have your business ready to go, you have your certifications ready to go. And then also connect with primes. So making sure that if you are coming in as a sub, that you can start to identify who is a prime and navigate that space. So that's kind of an overview. But yeah, I'll pass it on the rest of the panel. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. My name is Justin Wilson. I am the manager of Supplier Diversity. for Amtrak. Similar to, what Lori said, we have a lot that's going on through the IIJA, that was passed in 2021. So the government, well, FRA kind of granted us with the $16 billion or $22 billion. $6 billion is going to the Northeast Corridor. $16 billion is going to the off network. Amtrak is quasi-government. It works as a nonprofit. What tends to happen is the funding is brought down by approved projects, through the FRA. With that being said, my goal is, or our goal from a supplier diversity standpoint, is to level the playing field, to make sure that there's, equal opportunity, remove the barriers, to develop minority or smaller businesses to, become these larger primes. That's kind of my goal. We have a small business center at 30th Street Center, and it's specifically created for actually you guys. You don't have to wait for these events to come and talk to us. You can come to us at any point on your time versus waiting to try to dot dive and figure out how to get to these type of events. Amtrak is a national railroad. It operates over 46 over 48 states. So what we procure is from soup to nuts. As she just said, all the things that she just mentioned, Lily just mentioned from an infrastructure side, it's the same things that we do. So I won't repeat and go down the list of things, but we have a lot that's going on with this IIJA bill. If you notice that there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of bridges that's being redone. A lot of, right now in Baltimore, we have the Frederick Douglass Tunnel being redone. That was a tunnel that was probably one of our biggest bottlenecks. It was built in 1906. And right now, they're trying to, well, what we are doing is to replace that. We also have the Gateway, which is also up in New York. We have the Hudson Tunnel Bridge encasement. And these are some of the big infrastructure items that we have. But also we have other things like the redevelopment of a lot of our stations are redone. 30th Street right now is under a 50-year renovation project. We partner with Gilbane and Benarin. So don't just look at Amtrak, but look at the remote. So as Lily was just stating, one of my things is, you know, you guys started a business and it all started with an idea. You know, you guys kind of had a vision of a thought and you kind of took it and you ran with it. So that process should not stop here. You know, it should continue. So if you're making widgets, then what else can you do with those widgets? How else can those widgets be? Because again, no company stays the same. You know, so from my standpoint, what I will say is stay connected, continue doing what you guys are doing. Reach out to us from a small group. Use your resources. You know, we're here. I've been in Amtrak for 15 years. I came over to supplier diversity 2 or 3 years ago. It was a passion in me that I saw something that I felt like needed to be helped, that needed to be changed. You know, and that's what I was in the finance world before I came. So these things, it's not, our team is built around passionate people that's looking to help. So hold me accountable, hold my team accountable. You know, because at the end of the day, you coming and knocking down my door is making me feel like my job is doing what I need to do. You know, so again, as you guys were doing before, continue networking. We have a portal that you know that you could utilize. We offer shows what's our business opportunity that's coming. It tells where we're at. I look at it like so much information is like the Bible that, you know, it's just there, you know what I mean? So the information is there from an Amtrak standpoint. Utilize us and continue pushing. I mean,
Thank you,
That's
Jessica.
You had,
Thank
don't you have, a question I had, don't you guys have a large,
pre-bid event coming up at 30th Street in the next couple weeks?
That may be with Flannery or Gilbane.
Uh-huh.
I think it may be October 5th, but if you guys have it, I'll shoot that back over
But
to you.
so that they can,
Circulate.
have the information in the pen.
Again, we have a business resource center, it's right at 30th Street Station. You can come and just say, hey, you guys, I wanna meet with whatever your business scope is, you know, if it's IT related, you know, we can sit down with the buyer to try to get you on it, real or you're inside. I always say this when I go out to all these things. It's like, you ever have a company that you're trying to get hired at, and you have a friend that's on the inside, and you're like, yo, what's going on? Are you guys hiring? And you say, well, can you get me in, or can you tell me what's the inside scoop, or, you know, let me know. We are that team. We are that team there. If HR is not getting back to you, did they fill that position yet? We are that team, you know, so utilize it. And, I won't take too much of your time for that.
Let me,
Okay.
so, we got questions here, hold up.
Yeah.
I'm in charge.
Are you are?
To go to our first guest here, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
Yes, I
Okay.
got a couple of minutes for the construction vessels. Thank you for everything, all these motivational words that you're saying. You're really getting us pumped to move forward. So in the situation, and just speaking on 30th Street Station here, like in that specific situation, like, can you recommend working with folks like Gilbane and Flannery, and also do these guys have a target in terms of, for these contracts, here's how much you need to have for minority women-owned companies?
Thanks for asking. So Gilbane has, from Amtrak, we have 35% with,
Okay.
Flannery over the project. Set aside from that, Amtrak has its own things that it does around 30th Street that's not for Gilbane. So stay involved in both. I always recommend just 1-to-1. Amtrak has a 15% goal. Right now, we're at 29. We're finishing off the year tomorrow. So we're at about 29% on small minority owned businesses. Again, the proof is in the pudding from our work and our passion. So hope I answered your question on of it. What I will recommend is never put your eggs all in one basket. Continue doing what you're doing. You know, pound the ground from, you know, if you know, it's like, can't think of the guy's name over at Gilbane. But if I know that you're looking.
Craig?
Craig, thank you.
Yeah.
Good rumor. And I run into Craig, and let's say it's something that's coming up, and I know that it's right. I can mention your name, you know, I can find out what events that's going on both sides. You know, you may have only used me as a contact, or you may have only used Craig. So it's a network. I forget who it was that I was talking to earlier here.
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah. And it was someone else that was like, in Philadelphia, they just came. And I said, the biggest thing is networking, you know, and earlier when you came in, it's like, we hadn't seen each other's face. So, you know, before, and it's just all in networking and continue to hit the ground. You guys are halfway there, you know, are there, you're doing what you guys need to do.
Okay, Mr. Jesse, we're going to, there's one more question here, but
Sure.
we really were supposed to have questions towards the end. I don't want to break that rule completely, because that's a universal question that you have.
Yeah.
That is not just related to Amtrak, it's really related to all of them. So I know you had your hand up, so
I can wait. It's fine.
you sure?
Yeah, I mean,
I just want to make sure all our panelists have a chance to get all this fabulous information out, and then give you something to talk, and then we really have something to talk about,
I've got a question.
okay?
I just wanted to mention something. It's not really a question, but I just wanted to tell you guys, because I have my pen over here working full time, that we're gonna make sure that we give all of the registrants follow-up information, all the commodities that Lily mentioned will be there. All of the location of the 30th Street Business Center for Amtrak. We'll make sure that we put the Amtrak upcoming events that Melanie's just mentioned, everything. I know Denise didn't have a chance to introduce herself, but she also has a DBE, a person that point of contact that handles it with her office. And ProRank has abundance of information that we'll be adding to the follow-up. So if you're not able to take notes, don't worry, just enjoy the discussion, because I will be making sure that we capture all this information in the follow-up email, okay? So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I'm in a good position because I'm behind two great people who explained a lot about and gave some great advice. So I'll just do a little overview, little airport 101. We call the airport a city within a great city. And so anything that a big organization needs to buy and build, the airport needs to buy and build it. But just so everyone understands, as Lily said, the airport is a department of the city of Philadelphia. And so for our procurement processes, we follow the city rules. And so we don't have a separate website where you bid, where we advertise our bids and you submit your bids. We work through the city's contract hub for professional services, for public works, for all of that. So just make sure you're aware of that. But, one of the questions was around bill funding. Bill is another funding source for the airport. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna be buying or building different things, but it does provide additional funding and additional excitement. And I think that's what we're excited about. Not only does USDOT, who's our primary funder for our federal funds, have, not only do they provide the funding, but they also have an awful lot of resources, especially engaged with Bill to get technical assistance and capacity building efforts out there. And so Bill has not only provided additional funding, but it's provided the impetus and funding at the federal level for additional capacity building and technical assistance. And so that is one great benefit of the money also. The airport buys an awful lot of things, everything from, we buy a lot of toilet paper and we have a lot of professional services. We have a big facility to maintain. So there are a lot of operational and maintenance type opportunities there. But we also have a very large staff. And so for professional services, we do everything from executive coaching to workforce development. We're actually, if you know anyone that's looking for just a job with the airport, custodial, maintenance, engineering, we hire direct employees. So if you have friends and family that are city residents, also make sure they're checking out some of the websites for employment. But we do have goals. So the airport, because it receives money from the federal government, the question I always ask when I go around our agency is, who's funding that project? Because if it's federally funded by the FAA, then we have a DBE goal. So one of the first things you need to do as a new business is get a Rubik's Cube for what are all these acronyms. So DBE is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and we certify for that, as do four other agencies in the state of Pennsylvania. That's where all of our FAA funded work. Historically, we have put our FAA funded projects on what I like to call primarily horizontal work, which are runways, taxiways, aprons, those things. That's where we historically build. We have been able to use some of that funding for some of our building work. And so if you've been to the airport, you may know we have a huge restroom renovation project. Bill allows us the flexibility to use some of our FAA funding for things like that restroom renovation, for some of our thermal energy projects. And so different types of projects that yield, that open up that DBE world to different types of businesses. But we were going to do those restroom renovations anyway. And so if FAA wasn't funding it, it would be what we call locally funded, and we would be pulling from our minority, women, and disabled business database that is run by the city's Office of Economic Opportunity. And so my advice to all new small, diverse businesses is pursue both certifications. The city doesn't certify. What the city does is rely on certifications that the Minority Supplier Diversity Council provides or DBE. So if you're certified with me or them, you provide that to the city's OEO to be registered with them on their directory. So the city doesn't have its own certification unit. And so I always say, make sure that if you're DBE certified or certified by our friends here, make sure that you parlay that into registry with the city. So you can take advantage of all the work. So you don't have to say, oh, I didn't realize that that was not federally funded and I don't have my OEO certification. So you need, make sure that you understand this alphabet soup of certification. I work with OEO every quarter. We do a demystifying the certification process workshop to help you understand. We walk through the application. Here's what's coming at you if you want to be DBE certified. Understand all the questions you're going to have to ask and all the paper you're going to have to provide before you sit down and try to do it. Our history tells us that it takes you between 1 and 4 months to get your paper together. But you know, as Melanie says, once you have everything together, you smooth that process. And so we try to demystify what's coming at you, because if you get certified with us, it's so easy to get registered then with the OEO. And similar for our partners. And so that is something that we do quarterly with the OEO. It's a virtual, it is a virtual course, just an hour of me breaking it down in normal speed, as like I say, not bureaucratic speed. So I would really encourage you to do that. I like Lily and Jesse said, network. You know, I worked for 30 years for a small minority firm in Philadelphia until last December, when I went the opposite of what most folks do. But going to events like this, you may be sitting here and saying, wow, I don't think any of these folks up here have something that's about my company that I can do. For me as a small business person, that's as valuable as finding out I can work for you. Eliminating, you know, finding out like, well, that was nice, they were very nice people, but I don't need to spend my time pursuing that anymore, because I need to spend my time pursuing things that I want, that I actually can do. As a small business cards are great. Big old brochures, our capability statements are terrific. I like a one-sheeter. Tell me in one sheet who you are and what you do. If you're a new company, rely on the experience of the owners and the management team. Because when I'm at a big event like you talked about, I'm getting a lot of business cards and I'm trying to write down what folks do. I'd like a little more information so that I resonate more. Someone once told me people do business with people, not paper. And so make sure that you have that one sheet of who you are and what you can do so that you can pitch it quickly and do that. We also, at the airport, I know many of you have been there, have a big food and shops program. And so that's a whole different program that not only you may not be a concession or food or retail shop, but those folks also hire goods and services. And so really explore some of the opportunities that are underneath that big umbrella. The last big piece that I'll talk about at the airport, so public works, professional services, food and shops program is now in the cargo space. We're doing a lot in the cargo space also. That's a whole new industry, you know, of additional logistics and different types of firms that we could use. And please do not forget that we also have the Northeast Philadelphia Airport that is in our department. That's called our General Aviation Airport. And so you will see a lot of folks that are flying in there in private charters. We have helicopter manufacturing there. We have pilot training there, airplane training there. So an awful lot goes on in that space too that you may not think about. All of this bill aside, we're looking at 2026 when the world is coming to Philadelphia. It's our 250th anniversary. We have FIFA coming, and the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming. Wow. The airport is gearing up for that, and so in the entire Philadelphia. So keep your eyes on the things that are going to help us welcome folks to our city, because many of them are coming through our airport. And so we will need to make sure that we, have additional bells and whistles, as they say, to make sure that we're welcoming those guests.
All right, thank you. Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, my name is Kyron Robinson, I'm a managing partner of Full Length Business Solutions. Full Length Business Solutions is a diversity consulting company. We do a lot of technical assistance and business development, specifically helping small diverse businesses that want to do business with the public sector and in the public space. 2019, we began implementing the supportive service program for PennDOT. So the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and these did a really good job of helping me out with some of these acronyms. Referring to a lot of the things you just said. The Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT, receives federal funding from Federal Highway Administration, right? Because they receive that federal funding from Federal Highway Administration, when they have projects that receive that money, then they have federal goals for diverse businesses, right? And that program is called the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. So what Denise was telling you was, the airport is actually one of the certifying participants, right? There's a few, and it's called a unified certification program, because if you're certified with any of the certifying participants, then that certification will work for all of those agencies. You don't have to keep getting recertified. So, and that's following is transportation related agencies, right? So your airports, septic, transit agency, PennDOT, it's coming through DOT, all right? The DPD program is the DOT initiative. So one of the things if you're getting started and, looking for public opportunities is identify your target client, identify your market, and you have to follow the money. And that's how you don't get confused by all of these acronyms, right? Because really, all of these is tied back to different pots of money. And to access that pot of money, you have to follow these rules. Real simple, right? So the federal government has their own rules for their pot of money, right? And a lot of times the federal government gives money to the states. And even though it's federal in nature, like you'll hear like register on sand, all of that, a lot of times it's actually state administered. So it's federal money, but state administered, right? So that's where you get this kind of quasi federal and state program, right? And that's exactly what the DPP program is, right? It's where these agencies that are often large state board, they're receiving you receive over $250,000 directly from USDOT, right? And you have to administer a DPP program, right? So what we do for PennDOT is we help firms understand like the process of becoming a DPE a lot of times. And once you become a DPE, we help you navigate doing business with PennDOT specifically for the supportive service program that we administer. That's our next show. The DPE supportive service program does that specifically for DPE. All right. Now we have another program that we administer for PennDOT. All right. So we said that was the DPE program, right? We have another program that we administer for PennDOT. It's called the Diverse Business Supportive Service Center. So it's just the DB Supportive Service Center. All right. Now, like we said, these different certifications and programs follow pots of money. This is PennDOT's program for their state money, right? So PennDOT is funded in multiple ways. They get money from the state, right? And they also get money from the Fed. So when their projects and their initiatives are state funded, that's when our diverse business program kicks in, right? Now the way that the diverse business program, the DB, and the DBE program work together, right? The DB program that we implement can often ease the DBE program. All right, and what do we mean when we say ease? All right, we're helping diverse businesses, and they might not yet be certified with PAUC for the DB program, for the state-funded program. You can be certified by any of these organizations that I'm about to list and be applicable to PennDOT's state diverse business program. And the first one I'm going to say is EMSDC. All right. if you are certified with EMSDC, then you can automatically get free assistance from the PennDOT Diverse Business Supported Service Center to not only help you do business with PennDOT, also to help you navigate a lot of Department of General Services resources, all right, as well as get certified as a DBE with PAUCT. So I'm gonna say that one more time.
It's free, it's for me.
Right.
So if you are a diverse business, right, you're certified by the Eastern Minority Supplier Diversity Council, if you're certified also by, WeBank or WeBank, right, the local or the national branch, if you're certified by, 8A, SBA 8A, or if you're certified by now, it's VetCert now, but if you're veteran certified, those are the certifications that would make you eligible for PennDOT's diverse business support. So, and one other group that we put in that pot are certified BBDs that are not looking to do work with PennDOT. That was something that Lily was mentioning. So PennDOT is focused on this heavy highway, building, bridges, streets, and Denise used the term horizontal construction, right? That's the term that we use, civil construction, right? It's going sideways. It's going sideways. Well, you get DBE certification is going to help you with it.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's a way to demystify. It's vertical construction. It's going up and down. That's when you want to start to look at these state certifications, right? Or EMSDC, right? So that's kind of a line in the sand that you can use to keep yourself. And also remember, follow the money, right? The money is state in nature, then the certification is going to be a state recognized certification. If it's federal in nature, if it's city, then it's going to be a city certification, right? So that's how you can demystify, follow the money, all right? So what we do is we help folks demystify, understand these things, and then also do business with PennDOT. So really quick, doing business with PennDOT has multiple steps to it, and it's completely different depending on whether you are performing actual construction services as a construction contractor, or whether you're providing professional services, or like Lily said, like a service provider, right? So it's completely different depending on which nature of your business, you're in. So if you are a construction contractor, the first step for doing business with PennDOT for everybody is the same, all right? That step is called business partner registration. All right, you'll hear that term. Are you BPR? Are you business partner registered? And we're going to demystify that right now. That is asking for a username and password for PennDOT's website.
That's it?
The PennDOT website is called ECMS, Engineering and Construction Management System. All right, the first step for anybody, agencies even have to be business partner registered. You might have been, so everybody does this step. It's the same for everybody. After that, the process is going to break down based on what side of the house you're on, right? Are you a professional service provider? Or are you a construction contractor? All right. So let's define those sides a little bit more clearly too. Some service providers with PennDOT are on the construction side of the house. They're not on the professional side. So let me give you an example. Haulers are considered service providers for PennDOT, not actual contractors, because they're not out there building the bridge or doing installation. Flaggers are considered service providers. Suppliers are considered service providers. If you're a service provider, the next step after business partner registration is much easier. It's called a pre-qualification exemption. And you're basically writing into PennDOT and saying, hey, I'm just a service provider. I'm not trying to build your road or bridge. You go ahead and flip the switch and turn me on so I can do work, right? And that's pretty much what they'll do, right? Now, if you're a construction contractor, you're actually pouring concrete, you're installing rebar, you're building the bridge, because that road, that bridge can collapse, right? So they want to make sure that you have the expertise to self-perform this work, and that's going to require pre-qualification with PennDOT. So if you've ever heard the term, are you pre-qualified? Are you pre-qualified to do PennDOT work? Pre-qualified to do construction with PennDOT? That's the process of submitting an application that says that you've executed 3 projects independently and that you have references that verify that you did these 3 projects. And once you do that successfully, PennDOT will award you what's called a work code or a work classification to perform that specific type of work for PennDOT. And those are equivalent to or like next codes, but they're not the same thing. That would make too much sense. PennDOT has its own version of, let's say, next codes, right? They're called work codes, right? Now, I'm not gonna get real complicated, but next codes and work codes do actually tie together, right? Because when you're getting certified with Denise, right? The DVP program is asking you what your next codes are, right? And if you don't have those next codes by Denise when you get certified, then when you go do the work for PennDOT, then whether you're a DVP or not, technically, you're not even supposed to count towards that work. That's just a caveat, I don't want to be doing that. But what we do is help folks navigate those kinds of things, right? And one of the major things that I think we can add value for today at this event is, again, if you're certified with EMSDC specifically, then the Diverse Business Supportive Service Center actually has resources to help you out free of charge. And one of those resources will help you get certified with PAUCP. And I'm going to tell you how you can access that resource really simply, all right, really quickly right now. And it's by going to a website and doing a simple survey. The website is ANA, like Annual Needs Assessment, .PADBSSC.com. All right, and that's like Pennsylvania.
Just someone you should repeat that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
Want to share it too.
So ANA, like Annual Needs Assessment, that's what that stands for, and then DOT. All right, and then PA, like Pennsylvania, DB, Diverse Business, SSC, Supportive Service Center.com. That's going to take you to a questionnaire. The act of you completing that survey will register you into the program. It's going to give you access and an email with instructions to access a portal that we have called Full Rank Academy. And we deploy multiple programs for PennDOT through this website. So the website has hours and hours of self-paced training. It has close to 1,200 industry partners on there, everything from agency leaders to small diverse business owners, to nonprofits, to individuals looking for work in these industries or this space. And again, it's free of charge for everybody. Even if you're not actually certified with any of the groups we said before, then you can go to ProLinkAcademy.com. You can click join for free. And you can access a lot of this information. So, how we can help you all.
Right. Well, we need a workshop.
That's what I'm about to say. Rotary will have their own workshop first quarter next year. Don't worry about it.
Sure, so I wanna, this is clearly a wealth of knowledge about this town brings. I wanna be clear that the city road projects that I started with, that we are getting a lot of money for. Many of them, even if we apply directly to the federal government, actually get administered through PennDOT. So the information that Chiron just gave you is for PennDOT projects like state highways, but a lot of the roads that you and I all walk and drive on, those actually, even if they're city projects, if they have federal dollars, many of them will be administered through PennDOT, because we're a pass-through of the state. So all of those rules and resources and information is really important, not just for PennDOT, but also for our city streets.
So before we go to questions, I want to add some clarification. Our first 3 panelists here, you should think of them as a large corporate institution. And they've got, while they may have the need for toilet paper in all 3, the budgets that they operate from are as large as some small cities. So you can think of the airport that way, you can think of Amtrak that way, and you certainly can think of the city of Philadelphia that way. So I don't want you to miss that there are multiple opportunities could be for the same work, but in each of those, institutions, those opportunities exist. The other thing I would say is that what Mr. Jesse said about you could just walk up, you can't do that anyplace else. If you just walk up and say, I wanna talk to somebody in procurement about a particular opportunity, it doesn't work that way in most places. So that's a very unique opportunity and experience. I just wanted you to know that's not the norm, of how, the departments and agencies, typically operate. Yes,
So when you come in, you set it up, you set up an appointment,
okay.
and we'll, based upon that buyer or that contractor, agent's time, we'll set it up. We're here to assist, and it's by any means, I mean, that is what we do.
Okay, but you didn't make it sound like I could just come down.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. So, and that's, you can just come down, and you can come down, like, say, for example, and talk with supply diversity office. But if you call us and you just come down, I mean, you call us and you set up and say, hey, I wanna talk to, we see an IT thing that's there. We'll try to set you up with who's that buyer or that contract agent. But for supplier diversity, you can always come down and talk to us.
Okay, all right. So I wanted to provide that clarification. When you do when EMSDC does their workshop on demystifying the certification process, we need to have Pro right there, demystifying how to get through all the systems, as well. So we can open up for questions. We can start with questions, and if there is a desire to almost do maybe for a few minutes, some smaller groups, because you had more in-depth questions for the panelists, I believe we have enough time to do that. I was talking the time, so that you could have that time. Yes, sir.
So, the question around the primes is that the prime contractor work through how do we know?
Yeah. Great question. So one thing I'll do, I'll first off just take a moment to plug an event that we have at the end of October. And the purpose of this event, I know it's annoying to hear like an event after event, but this is an opportunity to come hear from the city of Philadelphia for the first time. We're going to publish a forecast, a look ahead of public works opportunities. And we haven't done that before, and that will allow you to take preview time to make those connections about specific projects that we have coming up. And not just, oh, it's live today and I have 20 days to get my bid in. So please come to that. That's on October 24th. It's going to be a breakfast event. It will be free. We have flyers in the back. You can register. Actually, we ask you to register, please, so you know who's coming. And the goal of that is to connect primes with subs. So we can use that as an in-person opportunity. But another way that you can do is by looking on the City of Philadelphia procurement website and look at past similar projects and see who has been the prime that has either bid or has won that project. Similar to like what Denise said, this moment is very exciting because of just how much money and how much work is coming here. But we're not building rocket ships all of a sudden, right? Like we're building the same stuff pretty much that we did 5 years ago. So looking at some of those historic bids is a great way to see who those primes are. And it depends on which type of infrastructure you're in, network, so that you can start to know it's not that big of a pool. So if you're in heavy highway, there's probably 5 to 10 main primes. And we look at each project that comes on and we say, here's the availability of subs that are DBE certified or whatever the certification is based on the money. We want to set a goal for this percentage. And so the prime actually needs to go and look for you to fulfill that percentage. So if it's a 25% DBE, then the prime, when they submit their bid to PennDOT or wherever, they say, here's the 5 firms I'm using and exactly what they are going to fulfill for that 25%. So that's why knowing and making those connections with the prime ahead of time is so important, because once they submit the bid to us, it's locked.
But you guys are aware of the fact that primes will say they couldn't find anybody.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yes.
I was also gonna say, you might wanna request, a lot of times agencies will have like a list of landholders.
Yeah.
So if that was a job that went through ECMS for the city, then we can show you how to navigate what's called the LOP, or the list of plan holders. And everybody that downloads the plans from ECMS, they're automatically added to a list. And you have the contact information of that project manager. Because, you know, these companies are huge. Oh, wow. You'll all over the place, but you'll have that project manager, you'll have that fax number, you'll have that email address, and that person's phone number directly to the city.
And I was just gonna say, again, on our portal, we have our biggest, business partners listed. It's broken down by architecture, construction, and IT. And if you go on the portal, it shows who we do business with at all points in time. So we can't give out names, as you guys do, but we can't give out the companies, who we do business with.
And go to pre-bids and pre-proposal meetings. Because especially if they're mandatory, the winner is in the room.
Right.
Can you explain what that is?
Yes,
What is
so,
it? I'm
typically,
really gonna give these guys time to ask questions, so I'll let you answer that, okay?
for many times when there are solicitations, there's a pre-bid or pre-proposal meeting where you find out more about the project. That's where the primes go, and those are the people typically that are bidding the jobs. And so it's important for you to understand the city advertises if there's a pre-bid, if there's a pre-proposal, if it's mandatory for the prime. So go to them because that's who's bidding the job and that's who you want to partner.
All right, a lot of information and a lot of different directions, so now's the time to ask your questions, guys. Oh, no, you can't answer. Get in.
So I think the one thing, and we're new to this space, and the one piece that I've seen just trying to break through the business so far for me has been the perception that from these crimes, a lot of times it's checking the box of we just need to meet the goal, right? And that pushed a little bit of the wrong behavior where they're working and taking advantage of these DBEs, where it's truly just like a pass-through, for lack of better words, right? We're just passing through and reaping the benefits of checking the box. What are some of the things that are out there to essentially prevent that, right? Because selfishly, I feel like we're bringing something different to the table, right? We're approaching the market differently and we're innovating in that space, but then you're getting cornered by others just because of probably relationship, where it's truly just been pass through, check the box, move on.
What I will say is that one of the spaces that Megan actually works in is when we get hired by the developers to do the outreach. And we also go through the de-scoping process with the contractor so that we look to see, do they have the certification information for the company? We reach out to the company to see, what's the company actually spoken to? Did they have anything to do with the pricing and so on? Because a lot of them try to get away with, we just couldn't find anybody in that space. And so then it's like, oh, well, okay, let's help you find someone. But you have to have that as a very specific role because they don't know. Right. They're not gonna know.
I think I'd also add from this, my experience as a small business, understand the space you're in. If you're in public works, those jobs in general are awarded based on low bid. So the way you help a prime win their job is not just by being a diverse firm, but by helping them win the low bid. And so it's a very price sensitive environment in public works. So understand how they win the job and then understand how you can help them win the job beyond being a diverse firm. Professional services is different because you need to not only say, I can help you meet your diversity goal, but I can help you win the evaluation points for this scope of work. And so understand the evaluation criteria that these jobs are being awarded on and approach the primes, because if you approach them that way, you know, a diverse business is, I always say people first, which is I'm a firm first and diverse second. And so you need to lead with how you're going to help them win the job. The secondary piece of that is helping them achieve the diversity goal. But I think when you approach them like that, you've already separated yourself from being, seen as a pass-through organization. And so, but understand how they need to win the job and how you can help them win that on two fronts. The winning of the job and then the diversity goal.
And complete the job, not just at the time of bid, but have a serious conversation with them and say, yeah, all right, like really, this is what it's gonna be when we get it. This is the work I'm gonna perform. Here's what's gonna happen. Here's what I can do. If there's some tightness of time schedule, here's how I can flex. If it's, you know, kind of really show your value to be a partner from point A to point Z.
But that's relationship development.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes time. I'm sorry, were you gonna say that?
Just one point on the other part from the agency standpoint, you guys have to do the monitoring and compliance. You guys, it's your contract. I worked in the city for a long time. You don't monitor and make those hold them to the fire, they're not. So you have a role in that too.
Can I touch on that?
Yes.
There's something I was gonna say, because I'm a business owner too first, you know, so it's a little bit different. When I'm helping business owners, I am a business that wins government contracts, so I'm in your shoes, right? As business owners, we have to know the rules to the programs that we're in. Because if you know the rules and you know what's supposed to happen and they're not happening, now, you know, you can let people know and you do it the correct way, then people might not feel threatened. But if you don't even know the rules, if you don't know what a pass through is, you might end up in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they have very specific definitions for this stuff. And if somebody starts asking you to do something that you know is not kosher, then that's when, you know, we have to ask business owners to stand up.
Because the reality is, the intent is one thing. The reality is not always, doesn't always match up with the intent. We know that as small businesses, that's the thing that I think it's a little more difficult for you guys to grasp, because you don't see the kind of shuffling and hustling we have to do in order. A lot of the contractors have their favorite folks they like to work with, so they're not interested in talking to anybody else. Other times, if you do know the rules and you push them, then you become a troublemaker, and all of a sudden your stuff is at the bottom. So it's a delicate balance. And I think you have to just stay conscious of the fact that those kinds of things still happen, but know know the rules, develop your relationships, so that you can, while it may not work out for this one, next time around, you put the work in to keep from being dropped into that particular hole.
Right. I'd say too, I think that politically now, and looking ahead to the next administration in the city, I believe personally that there is gonna be continued focus on this. So if there is this kind of theme like you're talking about, I think we can consider folks that are here sort of as an ally to bring that up and say, hey, hold the phone. Like, we're talking about equity, we're talking about growing our participation, we're talking about growing wealth for folks, but this isn't, I think that there's gonna be more and more daylight on this. Maybe it's not gonna be completely, there's still some things that we don't have privy to, but I think that if it's a consistent theme, I think that you shouldn't shy away from sharing that. Yeah.
Great question.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm a little afraid to ask for the coffee box. If I get the certification, do I still need to go to the website? I just don't catch. Because like the information is so there. Like, do I still need to go to this website that you're describing for if you're EMDC approved?
Oh, guys, okay, so if you're coming to us for DVE certification or any of what we call the Pennsylvania certifiers for USDOT, to access, I think, programming services, you would still go to their website to access their services. And so we will help you get certified,
Okay.
but we won't automatically get you hooked up with their services or automatically get you registered. You have to take that certification that you get from us and use that in various ways.
Right, so once you're certified, you might want to know how to use that certification to get work with PennDOT.
Right.
Right, to get work with SEPTA.
Right.
Right, so that's what we would help you do on that other website. So now that you're certified, or even before you're certified, we have other resources and training that will go through all of the complicated stuff that I was talking about earlier and demystify it for you. Yes, they are, and they're, all of those trainings are free for pretty much everybody, but if you are a small, diverse business and you have a higher level of access to that platform, then you have even more resources there, so make sure you take the needs assessment and you don't go there and join as a free member, right? Because if you take the needs assessment, you're coming in at a higher level. ANA.PA.EBSSC.com.
So
Questions?
PennDOT is paying for this service for you all to have it for free, to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's the other benefit of Bill, is that it has injected more resources.
Let me just go sit here.
You already registered as a member for ProTrack. But you didn't do it through this particular survey.
$1 million question.
Could you go?
All you do is go do the survey and it's automatically gonna update your current number and put you in all of the rooms. Just use the same email address that you can, right, when you do that survey, it'll connect them with them for you. You'll be good to go. Thank you.
Any more questions?
One more.
Absolutely.
So I think you all hit on this, but I guess again you mentioned that Melanie earlier, like there's two phases as to where you're at, where you're starting or you're stuck and trying to relaunch yourself, right? How do we stand out, right? You mentioned like when you go on the website, there's like 1,200 other folks like us, right? All trying to, how do we break away a bit from that, especially for the ones that are starting before we get discouraged enough to be like, all right, try, didn't work out.
I get that one a lot. We have this theory called be a hunter instead of a gatherer. All right. When you get certified, yeah, a lot of folks sometimes think that they can just sit back and they got it themselves. So the first thing is you want to be proactive and you want to help find the opportunity. Say you're a subcontractor. Well, if I'm a subcontractor, I'm going to be looking for the prime contract opportunities that I want to sub for, and then I'm going to be creating my primes, right? I would go find folks that might be in the space, and then I would look at awards reports. Maybe they won similar projects. Say, hey, reach out to them. Hey, are you aware of ECMS project number or city project number? This. Could be in an email. Here are my capabilities. We think that you'd be a great fit for it based on what you do, and we would love to be a partner with you. When you do those kind of things, you stand out. You separate yourself immediately, and even if they don't use you, I guarantee you, if you see them in an event like this, and then you tell your name, they're gonna, oh, I remember you, you sent me and now you have a much warmer, relationship. So be a hunter instead of a gatherer. Help. People want to know how, other companies want to know how you can help them make money. So when you're talking to those primes, those businesses, talk to them from that standpoint, how you can help them be more profitable. And I guarantee you'll automatically stick out more than that.
And the information is key. I mean, one of the things that Lily said earlier is that with the public works projects, for the very first time, they're going to be listing the whole, shebang of what's coming out and so on. Identifying in that, of that list, who and what you're interested in, and you're honing in on that. Information is still king in any business. And so having that kind of information, Jesse said that they don't list projects necessarily, but they do list who their larger partners are. Same thing. So each of them has some kind of information that will help narrow what it is you want to focus on. That's the thing for me as an entrepreneur that was the hardest for me to learn. I could not be all over the place. I had to learn to focus, and then that's called business development. And you go develop from that focus. No, none of us want to go to 10,000 pre-bids. Sorry. I mean, that's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
We don't have time. And most of the time they don't structure them in a way that you can get enough information specific to your space and your interests. So some homework is very helpful. Do a little research on some companies that you think might be who you want to do some business with. Cross-reference it against the information that you get from them. And now what you have is a plan of who you want to go after. And I would not suggest you try to do 20 of them at the same time, because you really want to try to develop a relationship, and you can't do, If you are too transactional, yeah, you won't make the connection. That would be what I would add to, what Caroline said.
You can also look out within whichever industry you're in and see if there is an association that represents the primes by region. So there is here, and one of the speakers on our panel that we're gonna have on October 24th is a man named Robert Buckley. And he is one of the large heavy highway prime contractors in Philadelphia. He was just awarded the bid, his company was just awarded a bid for the cap that's going to go over the 95 section. He was the contractor that was assigned for the emergency 95 bridge repair.
Oh, wow.
So he is gonna be on the panel, but he is a type of like big fish that if the heavy highway is your speed, if not, then, for example, if he has an association called NPC, Association of Pennsylvania Contractors, and so they have lobbyists that go to Harrisburg and advocate on their behalf. But that can also help you see like, okay, who are the ones that are kind of the big times in this area? And I think that there's probably associations for those in different industries, whether it's interior building finishes, HVAC, I'm not sure, but.
But understand on emergencies, there's no requirements.
Correct.
There's no requirement for diverse participation. Okay, because the key is getting it done quickly. So just about every reg you can think of is thrown out the window if it's an emergency. It's a little bit different because he did not have much participation. I tried to lobby that for a number of firms, but their explanation was they had to move to. Yes, that's right. Exactly. Any more questions? All right. Are you coming back?
I am for a second, because I was super excited. So I was over here, guys, taking in a lot, and I've been a part of a lot of discussions similar to this. And what I'm telling you, some of the gems that our panelists was able to drop today, I have not heard before. You want to make sure that you're taking in some of the takeaways from this conversation, upcoming events from some of our panelists. I'm going to make sure, like I said before, that I share this on our follow-up information. A lot of those links to the information that Caroline was explaining, I'm gonna make sure I also put, but you guys, I hope you guys have known those events, because I'm gonna be there on the 24th with Lily. I've definitely seen the Demystified Certifications conversation. We shared that actually, and I want to thank you, Denise, because I had no idea that you were even connected with that panel conversation. But you guys, if you know anyone that's having these questions about certification, you want to direct them to that, also that session. We also want to make sure that we're mentioning, like Melanie said quite a few times, the preferred method of engagement for Amtrak is amazing. They're here to assist, able to open up their doors to you guys. So we'll put all that information in the follow-up. The information about the primes is what really got me is, so we do at EMSDC a post-certification webinar for all of our newly certified. I don't know if you had the opportunity to come, but I also always mention, you know, sometimes we come into this network with tunnel vision. I want to meet the corporate partners that are in the network. Sometimes you're smaller, sometimes you don't have the capacity. So I always say it, I say, let's connect with the primes, use our MBE to MBE portal so that you'll be better to assess some of these prime contractors that are working with our corporations already. So you don't want to miss those opportunities. And if you're having issues getting through with some of them or connecting with some of them, you can always come back to your council and let us know about some of these challenges so that we'll be able to have these conversations when we're in the room with our partners. So that's one thing I did want to bring to your attention, the certification part. Back to relationships as well. Kyron, I've been chasing their program for like almost a year because the first time I met them was at an event. And when I heard about these resources, I was like, this is amazing. I need everyone in my network to know about it. So we finally had the opportunity to partner with them on these 2 panels for Med Week. So I'm really excited, and I'm also going to invite them to a post certification like you guys have came to, so that all of our members know about the VBE certification and the best ways to obtain it. And any other, like the value add part is what I wanted to mention too. We're going after a lot of business, like Melanie's added. You don't want to go to 1,000 free bid meetings. So with EMSDC, we also have corporate introductions that we do for our members. We ask you guys to give us updated capabilities, and we come up with a strategic plan to go after some of your target customers together. And this is something that I do every day. So the things that you guys say, I couldn't explain enough. Find the value add. Just don't go in there with no type of information that you reference, no type of research. You know, look on their website, see what's coming up, see the past projects like Lily and Jesse was able to explain. All these things that they said, take all of that in, because now I'm gonna be saying all this at my post certification next month. Because it's really important that you do your due diligence so that you are making a more of an impression when you're meeting with these corporate partners and you're leaving an impression. And meeting in these networking environments where you're introducing your business to everyone in the room. 6 degrees of separation is where we always tell folks, someone else can sell your business and your brand probably better than you somehow. So I'm really big on it. I go into these events, I meet with these corporate members and they say, oh yeah, I need someone to do ABC. And I'm like, wait, I just met with someone at my webinar yesterday. And so we want to make sure that you guys are taking advantage of it and not taking it lightly. The one pages is really important. You get tired, oh, I'm tired of hearing that thing really big. I'm tired of doing it. But I've also learned through my executive vice president, Christina Cash, that sometimes when you do your capability statements, keep your targets in mind. Don't have too many targets at one time. We tell people we do like 3 introductions quarterly. And some of them are like, that's it. Because we want you to get these big institutions' attention. We don't want you to be overwhelmed. We're trying to solicit to all 200 corporate members on our list. So it is to you to focus on that, not making it a transactional experience, building that relationship, building that rapport, because it's not a race, this is a marathon, and we're all in this together. So if it's a challenge for you as an individual business owner, it's also a challenge for the council. So you have to make sure that you're going out to these engagements, bringing back that information to us, so we'll be able to share it with our key stakeholders. And with that being said, I don't think I've missed anything or anybody. I want to thank all you guys, all you business owners that took time to come engage with us. Everyone that's online virtually, you can find this information on our video library, along with a lot of programming that we've been able to present over the last few years. And I can't leave without letting you guys know about our upcoming Choice Awards. That'll be November 30th. If you're looking to engage with our network and find out about some of our corporations that are really invested in our MBEs, like the city of Philadelphia, they also have a certification initiative that I felt to mention. I don't want to take that for granted. If you're looking to get certified, you're in the city of Philadelphia. I think it's like construction industries or some that the rebuild may be focused on. But talk to me about certification initiatives. We have one in Delaware with DuPont. We also have one, city of Philadelphia, and we also have Giant Foods, I'm sorry. So different industries that we're serving every day. So make sure that you guys are tapping into us to finding out if there's any mentorship opportunities or if there's any RFPs or there's any type of events coming up that relates to your business goals. I want to invite my president, Brian Oglesby, to come up and say a few words and thank everyone, especially the city of Philadelphia. You guys, so this didn't just come incidentally. This was just a great group of people to put together, as you guys can see, with the years of experience and the reach that they have across the city. You can't go wrong with this information. So please direct people to our recap video when you guys receive it and all the resources that we'll be sharing. Here's Brian. Thank you again, guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Oglesby, President and CEO of EMSDC. I work for Leah. And I had an opportunity to walk in and hear all this great information, including the extensive acronyms. As someone who sarcastically created an acronym library at one point in his career and one of his many jobs, it's important that you become aware of these things. And I don't want to say too much because I think enough has been said. But one of the things I always want to try to impress upon people is you're very good at doing your business. You just have to make sure you're good at doing the business of doing your business. And a lot of the information that you've gotten today is about doing the business of doing your business. To Mel's earlier point, business development is just as important as the product that you're delivering. As an entrepreneur and a consultant, you have to run a supplier diversity council. You have to be able to engage back office space and business development space and understanding the totality of the environment. So there's a lot of resources at play. The EMSDC is at your disposal. Leah Bunch, my superstar right brain, is here for your assistance. I'm always accessible, and we look forward to collaborating with you guys as much as possible. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys. Hey, look, just in time, I'm never on time like this.